Okay, well, story so far. After York himself fell and the Earl of March kind of wandered off the map to make things easier, now Henry has left the map as well. And what we've basically got is sort of a period where there's not really any war, much like in Kingmaker, where people turtle and whatnot. Earl of Warwick is here with Salisbury, and Salisbury came down, Warwick crossed the water, and they've basically concentrated on trying to get control in this northeastern or southeastern area, and moving their way south to get the special points for that. They grabbed London, which is of importance between London and Calais. I've got sort of a power base that I'm building up here that's kind of nice. At the same time, over here, Somerset, again, Henry left the board. He's decided he doesn't really want to be there anymore. His troops were getting expensive, etc. Concentrating on trying to take the northern land with the Percys there. And unfortunately, I'm set up for another screw up. This is the second time that they've done this, where they don't have the cash on hand. That's part of why I disbanded Henry. I was supposed to tax somewhere. Well, maybe not. I don't really have many options for taxing is the problem. So, I evaded one turn's hell, but now I'm going to fall into another where I'm going to have to fix the damage that I do from pillaging in my own territory here, unfortunately. But that's life. And after I deal with that, then I will at least I'm sitting in a town and nothing more valuable to me. After I do that, then I will try to press my forces southward towards the Midlands, right? To be able to operate a little bit more effectively. But I solidified my power base. I'm just going to lose it again, which kind of sucks. Anyway, that's what happened. It was, not a very long turn last time. It was a 6-card turn, but it was very, very painful to operate through. Anyway, I got time to fit the Lancastrian disasters that will occur during this levy phase before I have to go play some raid. It's kind of funny. They looked like they were doing so well early in the game, right? I mean, they totally trounced. They killed the king. They killed the Duke of York. They, had the Earl of March running away. But now they keep slitting their wrists by not coming up with coin. And the truth of the matter is, coin is hard to come by in this game. All right, first I have to shuffle the decks. Thoughts before I start drawing them. This is a long game to play the full campaign. Probably not as long as the original Kingmaker. Part of me kind of wants to get the new Kingmaker and see, how much they fixed it. Or at least to look at the rules, which may be online. Might be able to actually play the old Kingmaker set with the new rules. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Maybe with some modifications or whatever. But anyway, what was the other thing? There was another important thing. Oh yeah, I'm relatively amazed. Most two-player kind of area control-ish type games don't manage to put you in a position where you avoid battles, right? Like if you think about, I don't know what to put in there, but there's various games where you're allowed to gather resources build up an economic engine by conquering territory and whatnot. You don't really have an economic engine of that sort. You don't just get resources due to what you own here, and that's part of it. But most of those types of games, it behooves one of the players at least to go chase down the other guy and smack his big army and start taking his territory, right? And not let him have a chance to build up a good-sized force. Now, there are some that are able to do it by putting you at a good distance to each other. I'm thinking here something like Space Empires, where, yeah, there's strong physical reasons within the game that you can't reach each other. But this one, it's not quite that easy. It's like the march to get to the other guy, it's there, you could do it, but you can't really afford to do it. And so if you let them build up their power base and whatever, it seems like you will simply dissolve if you march to go get them. It's just kind of an interesting dynamic that I'm not used to seeing, and it's intriguing towards how to make other games where you feel like people should have more of a chance to build up their power base and whatnot. I'm thinking things like Imperium Romanum comes to mind, although that's kind of a weird case. But things like Soldier King and stuff like that, where not Soldier Kings, which I haven't covered that at all. But Soldier King, which covers sort of the colonial aspects as well as the Great European War aspects of the era of Frederick the Great. You really, you march your troops around and you win battles and take territory, and it very quickly spirals into this, the person who's successful in their aggression ends up just getting more and more resources and being able to beat further and further. That kind of doesn't happen in this. This has a neat quality to it that allows that. Anyway, let's draw some. She-Wolf of France, queen without dowry. Shift each Yorkist vassal's calendar marker one box to the right. Well, this is a huge bonus, isn't it? No, because Oxford is a Lancastrian. The Yorkists only have Suffolk, so it doesn't do a hell of a lot for me. An escape ship, play upon death check. I have 2 of these. I may end up wanting to get rid of one of them if one of these capabilities is decent. But can't do that right now. All right, let's go over here. Blocked ford, play upon an approach to prevent exile. Okay, if I get caught in an ugly battle. Be sent for. This levy muster Lancastrian exiles from anywhere on the calendar. There aren't any Lancastrian exiles, but this card is still in play for the levy. I can't use it. Well, now we're in trouble. So, first the rebels have to pay their lords and forces on the field. The troopers. Luckily we're together. That's going to be a coin from each. And that's fine. We've got tons of money for now. Yeah, didn't I say that? All right, but over here, not so good. We're together, but we have got a problem. We're sitting at a tiny little town. Oh, no, this was part of the problem. We get a coin for one of the lords. Who do I want to... Well, first of all, we're pillaging. But I've got to decide who's going to stay alive. But we suffer... We don't have the pillage rules here. We don't have the reference, is what I'm talking about. Okay. Then the lords whose troops receive less coin than required will pillage their location. When an unexhausted stronghold has several unpaid lords or unfed lords, the owner chooses one lord to pillage. Add coin and provender. Okay, we get a provender too. I forgot about that. Did I forget last time? Did I not do this last time? I don't know. Okay, but what happens? Add coin and provender to the pillager lord's map. As per the fold-out strongholds, yeah. Reduce the pillaging side's influence by double the total number of assets added. I have added 2 assets, so I lose 4 to begin with. Mark the stronghold exhausted, even if not depleted. It's not depleted. There we go. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Mark it with enemy favor. That town flips 2 spaces towards York. Shift each stronghold adjacent 1 level towards. Now, what's kind of cool, not by port, right? Not by sea, good. York can't be influenced any further. So the only thing that we actually hurt here is Newcastle, but we lose a point off cities. Oops. Because of that. It doesn't matter which side it's on. Okay. Now I got to decide who I'm keeping. The other person is disbanding. Who do I see as more valuable? Somerset with his high influence and 2 vassals and, well, which vassal am I losing? I'm losing Oxford anyway this turn. Yeah, I'm gonna give this to Somerset. But all my provender's there. Oh, shit. Somerset pays his troops. Northumberland does not. Now, Northumberland has certain advantages, right? He has these, which I don't like to lose, but I only have to convert 2 towns over, 2 locations over, and Somerset should be able to do that on his own. After pillaging, pay unpaid lords share as needed. Coin is disband those lords. How do we disband? It's 3.24. As a penalty, their side loses influence equal to sum of all their unpaid or unfed lords' influence. Did I do that before? I don't know, man. I really don't. There goes all the IP. And I think disbanding just gets them off the board, right? 3.24. To disband, turn equal to 6 minus his influence. So Poissy will show back in 2. Oh, great. And Oxford is also disbanded. He, I believe, also shows back in 2. Let's take a look at vassal. Disband the vassal. 3.24. That's where we were. There we go. Take that vassal counter from the lord and place it on its matching counter on the calendar. Flip both over to their backside, naming the seat, and shift current turn equal to 6 minus the vassal service rating. Oh no, this is much worse. Yeah, so normally, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's not that big a deal. He's not aligned with me particularly. Normally in these games, you end up being off the board based on your service rating, which is a concept, I guess, which kind of fits with, hey, I devoted myself so heavily to serving, and now, you know, bringing me back is going to be more effort. But here, the service rating, the higher it is, it's sort of the more engaged they are in the conflict. On one side or the other, it really kind of doesn't matter. So there's a different rationale behind why the point, why the on how the disbanding works, but carts are getting overrun by provender. Terrible. Anyway, so we're back down to 1 lord over here. Have we been that low before? I don't think so. All right, that was paying lords. Vassals, there aren't any vassals that are problematic anymore. Which means we go to the exiles and vassals. And there are no lords in exile. There are no vassals to be restored, which means we're back to the Yorkists, and things look a lot shinier for them at this moment, don't they? Wow. Salient things. First of all, not going to be able to add any capabilities. Makes things kind of easy. We do have a lot of lordship on this side, 6 of them. Do we have any vassals? We have Falkenberg, we have Essex. That appears to be it. Lord-wise, we have Rutland, who would give us Canterbury, and that is appealing, but we don't need to do it right away because we haven't gotten, we're not close to dominance yet. So I could actually hold off, but what it means is I probably don't want to convert Canterbury because I've got an easy route to do so. At least that's what I'm thinking here. So, although there are advantages to bringing him in early, there's only 4 cards. He's just going to be an expense, right? Kind of a nice thing about Northumberland going away. Okay, so what does that mean? That means there are things that I need and things that I don't. I don't have a whole shitload of cards. I have no provender. I have a lot of coin. I'm sitting in London, a place I can tax, even though it's not my seat. Interesting. So, I have 2 vassals I could try to grab. These cost influence. That'll give points over there. But what do we do? Well, obviously Warwick's better at grabbing people, but Falkenberg, Salisbury would be just as good at getting. How do I want to do this? I don't know. You know, it's hard to judge. I'm going to spend one of my Warwick points to go for the Essex here. So I have to spend an influence. And I get them. That Essex doesn't last very long, unfortunately, but I can keep paying him with influence, not money, influence, cheap, cheap, cheap. Okay. I'm going to keep thinking. I need carts on him, although carts are something that are hard to carry around. Let's get 2 carts on him. That'll help him a little bit. I have enough ships, that's for sure. What else do I want to do? I could try to negotiate an area. Let's go for, see, Hastings is a problem here. Let's go for Guildford. Or do I pronounce that Guilford? I think I pronounce it Guilford. Makes sense. It's a consonant, you can ignore it. Guilford. Guilford. So, I have to spend 1 for the way and 1 for the distance, or 1 for the influence check. And I'm a 5, so. Okay. That goes away. That's another city. And then, let's see, what did I spend? I spent 1 on carts, 1 on that, one and a noble. I've eaten him up. Let's go to Salisbury. Sorry, Salisbury. I am going to make an influence check on Falkenberg. I am a 5 on that because he's 2 aligned towards my side. Let me get him. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I've got long-lasting vassals. That puts me to a 2. And there are counters I could use for this, but I just find it easier with the dice, to tell you the truth. So, what else? I don't like doing this, but I think I want to go with Guilford again. That'll give me a 3. That makes it a 4. Good enough. We get another city point. We're rocking it. We're rocking it. And I got one more point left. More carts. What else can I levy? Get a ship. I could get troops. I'm in London. Do I have to take all the troops that I take? I don't want to do that. I want to tax. I'm going to spend another influence to parlay at Oxford and try to just take that out. I'm not going to spend an extra influence here. I just think I have enough carts for the operations I'm planning on doing. I get a 6, that's not going to work. That's that side. After I swap batteries, we go over to the Lancaster. Oh, hey! My pillaging made it so that I don't get to do levies. Well, that was easy. We're on the campaign. And we'll move a white die up there. And again, you know, another serious blow. Whenever you have to pillage, look, you're not going to levy. They hate you now. That automatically, that's not true. I lied. I lied. I have influence. I still have to roll, no matter what, for parlay here. So, first one, I try to convert it to nobody. That's a success. This is a town. Second one, yeah, I do the same. And I hope I'm, you know, not fucking up completely. Maybe we do a quick count. We're not going to get the influence right. It's whether or not, you know, we have the towns and cities right. That's all. Wait till the end of the turn. Just been assuming. Well, now I could do some levying, but I've used both my lordship. But at least I regained control of this exhausted town at the cost of some influence, but it's worth it. It really is, I think. I'm still going to have to fire off an influence up to Newcastle. I'm probably going to need some provender that I'll take from there. So that'll probably be my first card. Going to have a pass because I only have 3 cards in my thing. But that's good enough. And it's got to be about time for me to go play my raid for the day. All right, much later. And, I mean, not that much later. I have to pause because there's a clan versus clan thing going on. But what is my deal here? I only get 4 cards. I got a bunch of tasties there. I only get 4 cards. What am I trying to do? All right. First things first, I check my provender. I've got problems in provender. I want to tax. Either player can tax. However, taxing requires influence here. which sucks, but it's kind of the best place in the world to tax. I've got good coinage, but so I think that'll mean Warwick to tax because he has the bigger influence. And I can also pick off Rochester, or not, because I'm going to be moving there. Might be able to pick off Oxford. Just take that away. Because like little pools can be dangerous because they can enable the enemy to make jumps, sort of. Not really movement jumps or anything, but they can set up something so that they have a supply line more easily, I guess. I don't know. I'm just guesstimating stuff here. So if I tax, what if I supply? I got ship supply. I got enough carts to carry 5. Yeah, so I can grab some provender. That'll be only 2. It's not great, but I don't have enough. So yeah, tax provender. Then what? Then I want to move, and it's got to be him if I'm moving. If I want to do anything from here, like gather provender, I need to convert it, which he's not the best person to do that with. And maybe I'm better off gathering provender here. Huh. I want to spend an influence to get that. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to find the actions that I want to do because it's like interleaving the people. What if instead I taxed with Salisbury? Sorry, Salisbury. And drew supply from here, which I get just as much from. Yeah. I have to roll influence, and it's not going to be as good. But I do those 2. I could tax twice, but that's not good. Then I move. Oh, fuck. Fuck. It's just so fucking frustrating. It's like trying to program something out that actually does anywhere near what I want to do, right? Okay, sure. Every game has its limitations and everything, but this feels frustrating in comparison to most of the levy and campaign, at least so far. Maybe I'm just, so unfamiliar with it that I'm struggling. Provender, tax, influence. Move. How much provender have I grabbed? I've grabbed 2, right? I could grab, no, I can't grab 2 from here. I could, where can I grab my supplies from? I can only grab it from one location. That's the problem. And the locations suck near me. So all I can grab is 1 from there. I can use my scours, but they will only get 1 if this is exhausted. Shit. I gotta put this down and try to think again. But it's like, it's so fucking frustrating to not be able to do even very limited amounts of things, right? Like, it feels like my goals are so limited and I'm just not able to move and do them. Like, I have this desire of, yeah, I should be able to get the south over the next couple turns. I don't know if I can, Thing being that I don't think, like, I just don't see either side getting enough of an advantage while we're trying to establish these power bases to be able to force the other side to attack. But who knows, if one side's ahead in IP, like the Lancasters are, maybe it does force York to attack anyway, because if I'm ahead here, when we get to the end of the 3 years, it doesn't really matter what the victory check marker is. And unlike in the scenarios, the single war scenarios, within the campaign, this actually doesn't decrease, which feels a little weird. It always feels weird to me when what's dealt with right here, victory threshold 40 plus influence doesn't change, right? And then we go to the equivalent of it, which is the Henry VI one here, and there are victory thresholds that happen on different turns. So as the turn count starts going down, you're getting closer and closer. Well, I don't know what that's meant to represent and what victory is meant to represent if neither side's defeated. Like, that feels, no matter what, that feels weird, right? That if neither side's defeated, why are you ending the game here? Shouldn't one side or the other come to a victory? I don't know. But that's only something that affects the campaign game. But there are a lot of things, a lot of threads that tie the campaign together that I'm just kind of like, geez, wouldn't the war just continue if neither side, it's not like, and if it didn't, it would end up in a very different kind of situation than any of the historical ones were. I'm just finding other criticisms to kind of mask my frustration issue, which is the real thing which set me to thinking in this direction, but it's not the real issue. The frustration may be well-deserved. I mean, I can see where it's hard to forge together a political alliance throughout a region, and where that might take years, right? But when that's the focus of the game and it's a 3-year game, it feels wrong. Like there should be a battle that's decisive, or there should be a reason that there's going to be a decisive battle. And so far, I'm just not seeing that, except that somebody's ahead and they're going to win the whole campaign, right? They're going to win the crown for the next 10 years, 5 years, whatever, in between the two, this and the next war. And there's no real reason for it. There's just nothing. There's nothing to, it's like just before battle or whatever, lords can go run off into exile, which feels like a massive defeat to me, but isn't treated at all like that within a war. It's not like it's just a means of saving you till the next war or anything like that. It's not that at all. It actually makes you kind of, I don't know, in a way more available, in a weird sort of way. And then the other side of it is like, I don't know, it just feels like a lot of the choices are going against what my intuition would be here. When I think about exile, I think about, the fact that Bolingbroke has to leave, right? Or yeah. When I think about it just feels like it should be a more decisive factor. And on the other hand, this whole thing can end in a situation where nobody has won a battle, nobody's been chased off into exile. All they're doing is plunking off little things. And of course, the fact that one side or the other has an advantage in these, and they will win because of that advantage, even though there's no board state or anything within the game that is triggering this kind of situation, is saying you must press on and try to create the decisive battle. The decisive battle is being created for the wrong reasons. It's being created because there's sort of a stalemate, rather than, it's one thing if somebody's close to this victory check where you can say they've lost you know, the support, the hearts and minds of the nobility, at least, if no one else. But there's a very big difference between that and, we're in a state of stalemate and, you know, we both have resources and we can both turtle forever. But he's doing just a wee bit better right now. So I have to go, you know, chance everything on a battle. That just feels completely wrong comparatively. I don't know. There's no good reason for me to be that frustrated. I only have 4 cards, right? So what's going to happen? Warwick's going to tax. He's going to convert Oxford. Salisbury twice is going to gather supplies. It doesn't get me much, but that's fine. Warwick moves me to Rochester, converts it. Warwick has 2 moves now. Move here and convert. Gather supplies, move. Yeah, I don't want to move there if that's the case. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about in terms of stuff. I don't know how it's going to work out specifically, but I just don't have enough cards that I should worry too much about it. Anything interesting in my Arts of War, just combat stuff. Well, I don't have a lot of choice here. 3 cards and a pass. So what did we say? I don't remember. Warwick. Tax first. Get a coin. You can get more than 1 coin. It's London. What is it, 3? And this is why I want to do this at London. I get 3 coin. So that gets him shitloads of cash. Because cash is very, very important. Second one, I go into Oxford. That's going to cost me an IP. I'm not going to take in a bonus. There's no reason. I succeed in removing that. Oxford's a city. We go to 3 cities. Is that right? I don't know. Probably. It's really hard to tell. They have Carlisle. Whereas I have like Hereford, Bristol, or no, Wells, Guildford, Norwich, York. Almost seems like I have too few. But they have Shrewsbury and Chester. I don't fucking know. I can't count them all. I really can't keep the count. I'm hoping this is correct. If it's not, I got a problem. And this is a problem I have with the coin games as well. But generally the point counts that you make for them, although I'm always fucking them up, are easier to determine. Here it's very hard, and it's mainly, again, because of the crowding. There's no place to put these that, you know, I mean, I can cluster them all over the place, but I don't know. Things just feel too small, and in some areas way too tight for the counters that are present. There's just so much informational presence, and not a lot of information leaking out from under the counters. All right. Anyway, I did him. Of course, we pass first. And I had no idea what I'm doing with him. Okay, maybe that's false. I was going to supply twice. Okay. Unfortunately, or whatever. Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3. I have 5 carts. I can only really go a distance of 2 with any safety. Now, I could take a lot from here, but I chose instead that I was going to take from Cambridge. I wish we could, well, we can take from Ely, why not? And Ely, and only get 1 each from those. So that gets me 2 provender over here. I can carry plenty. That puts me back over here, and we don't know what we're doing. Well, we do know some of what we're doing, at least. We have a 2 lordship here. 1, 2. What the hell? No, we're not doing that. Okay. Do we have food? Yes. 1 to here. I have to eat. And then I drop that in. Newcastle's a city. It goes this way. Assuming I have things right again. And I did my feed. We go back. Warwick marches to Rochester. And we'll convert it. And that'll be a city. And I need to eat. Barely doing anything. Somerset again. I've converted this. I need foods. I'm in a town, but I have tons of cart. 1, 2. I could carry up to 3. Cities give me 2 provender, so I'll pull 2 provender. I don't have any advantages. Yeah, I'll pull 2 provender using 4 carts from here. So that's one action. Now, one thing I know about this game is you don't necessarily want to move right after you've done, right after you've gathered your supply. You want to, like, gather more supply or something. But there's a problem with that. If I want to get York, I got 1 more card. And I can only do 2 moves to get me there. So I'm going to march all the way. I could go further than York. I could go down to Lincoln. That'd be even cheaper. That leaves a hole up here, but one which could be taken advantage of anyway. Rutland can show up in York no matter what. No. Salisbury. Huh. All right, I'll move to York. I ate my food. See, what I was thinking was, if I'm not there, he can convert it over immediately. Because if we look at levy lords, at any free seat, no, at own seat if able. Yeah, we got to look that up. 3.42. Like, I think it can be an unfriendly seat. It just can't have an enemy force on it. 3.42 levy lord must be free of enemy lords, or that must, yeah, in addition. That's in addition to being in a friendly seat yourself. So you're able to fully convert an area from one side to the other by bringing the lord in at his seat, if you don't have a lord there to stockpile. I've spent my food, I think. I can't remember anymore. Go back to Warwick. What are we up to? We don't have food. Of course we don't have food. We can't do supply from here because we don't have food. So even if I move here, I can't immediately draw supply. I could draw supply from Rochester first, and that's okay. But then I would be also in an area that I don't want to be in because I won't be able to levy. And levying seems like a valuable thing to do. So, what the hell do we do? We gather supplies. We can gather 2 from there. We got plenty of supplies. Oh, we're going to get our supplies halved due to wastage. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Warwick could go on his own to Hastings. Nah, he doesn't have the food. Salisbury has the food. Hastings can't go there, or Warwick can't go there. What can I do? And of course, Henry can be mustered in London. That's Henry, I think. Isn't it? Yeah. He can be mustered in London and convert London back over immediately, just like, you know. So anywhere that's a seat is just dangerous unless you have it garrisoned. And garrisoning seems way too expensive. So what do we do? What do we fucking do? I don't know. And we're in a stupid location, right? I would rather have stayed in London and moved more quickly had I known what the fuck was going on. Okay. Each lord gets hurt. So I am going to gather provender from St. Albans. Why not? Or from Cambridge. We'll just take it from Cambridge. Yeah, we'll take it from St. Albans because we're down here and we're defending this and whatever. Okay, so we'll take one from St. Albans, and then we're going to spend the other one to grab Hastings. That costs us an influence because I can't move. I can't do shit. Now, I could have just run down to Dover, but then I still wouldn't have food. I'd die. Yeah. Yep. All right, so we get Hastings. Hastings looks like a townie. So we're up in towns. And these are unimportant. And Warwick's done. Susset. That's how we'll pronounce that, right? Susset's turn. What did Susset want to do? I got to convert. That drops cities by 2, but it still leaves him with the advantage in both, assuming I got the numbers right. Big assumption. Okay, now we're done. I am going to count the things and make sure I got them right. Since the two sides have pretty much split England, didn't think this was going to happen, what I did was I counted all the Yorkist towns down here, and now I'm going to start subtracting off the Lancastrian. This is actually a particularly easy time for me to count, even though there's a lot of markers on the board. I fucked it up. I think I counted this as a city instead of a town because it has this little crest that looks more impressive than it would be. So we'll start over and do it again. And we'll keep doing it until we fucking think we've got it right. Amazingly, it looks like I actually did have it right. All right. So, we look for what we do. End of campaign, Tides of War time. Tides of War. +1 for a lord in each of North, South, and Wales. We're here in Rochester, so that is 1 IP for the Yorks. We are not in the North, so we get nothing. Dominate North, South, or Wales. The Lancasters dominate the North. The South is not dominated. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm close to being able to trigger that card that could give the domination. Although I don't know what lords that can apply to. Favor at London, 2. Favor at Calais is 2. Harlech, no. Most favor in cities, 2. Most favor in towns, 1. Fortresses don't exist. Capability card text, look. Do I want to buy more influence or not? I've grabbed this damn card to be able to do this, but I'm like, I'm not generating the kind of provender I need. I don't know. I'm set up so that I can start grabbing through port. Let's fucking do it. There's 2 influence for my provender. It's not what I was planning, but screw it. Over here, though, it's 1 for the Lancastrians. Okay. Influence ratings of lords? No. We will hit waste. Disembark, victory, grow, waste. Okay. Provender, carts, ships, coin, troops per lord. Troops! I think waste resets the troops. It doesn't cut half of them. Right? Oh, no. Yeah. Provender, carts, ships are all halved. Coin and troops are given, are reset at their value. Which means provender, carts, I'm down to 3 carts here, and ships. Yeah. Fucking works. Losing his boats now. Oh, okay. Provender, carts. What else here? We look again. Provender, carts, and ships halved. Rounded up. You keep half rounded up. Coin and troops per lord card. So I get a coin and I get my backup troops, which is kind of a bonus for Somerset. He gets a man-at-arms and a longbowman out of this. He's still not all that powerful, but he's stronger. Let's go over here. You know all that money I captured? All that tax I did and whatever? Too bad I lose it. Fuck. Seriously? We don't have a number for waste. God damn it. You know, you'd think you can at least hold on to your money. What are you doing with it, buddy? Provender, carts, and ships each go to half their amount. Coins and troops to exactly those shown. Exception, do not remove mercenaries or handgunners. Great. Okay, well, so my taxing London was a fucking waste. There goes $4. There goes $2. Good job, guys. Next time, read the rules. Yeah. Oh, well. Sucks to be them. But, unfortunately, the cart I got, the ships that I started with that I'm requiring for my actions, yeah, they're gone. Too bad. Too bad. Troops are fine here. Troops are fine there. Yeah. So the Yorkists just got completely screwed in terms of what they tried to do. They spent a lot of effort. And, you know, sure, maybe I'll learn. I guess they threw one hell of a big fucking party and burned one of their boats down. Oh, fuck. Okay. And what does that do me? Well, other than screwing me over, yeah, we're doing too well. What do we hit next? Reset. I can discard held cards and what else? Yeah, that's about it. I have 2 of these escape ships and I think about throwing one away. The capabilities just don't impress me. If you're at a friendly stronghold, you either have extra troops or better armor for your units. Both of which can be valuable, no question. But I really doubt I'm going to take a levy action to do them. And it's not like I have space. Especially on this next turn. I'll have another turn to discard them here if I really, really want them. I doubt I will. All that money I've been collecting to pay off, you know, my vassals and whatnot, it evaporated. I ate it. Fuck. We move on. And this is the kind of feeling that I have when I say I'm blundering through a game. It's when I can't prevent bad things from happening. And I'm not going to correct this when I couldn't correct you know, other things because they were maybe a little bit more complicated. Like I can go back and say, ah, shit, I shouldn't have taxed. Let me at least get that $3 back. Now, and it's not like I'm even halved. It's not like I even lose half the money I had. I lost worse than that because I'm reset to the coinage that I had here. And that really sucks. And I have no opportunity to do anything like in most of the levy campaigns where you can pay to move your chits ahead and whatnot. Not that money disappears in most of levying campaign, but here it just fucking evaporates on you. Now, this is great for him. He had no coin. He was screwed, you know? He had no way of getting coin. He was fucked again. He literally was fucked again. And he's not now. He got saved. Why? Because his estates rolled in money. What happened here? I don't fucking know. They just fucking burned their money. They melted it down and spent it on cheap whores. I don't have any goddamn idea. All right. I'm pretty damn frustrated. You know, look, you can make hand-wavy arguments for what just happened, but it's pretty hard to accept that in the midst of a war, when money is the tightest commodity, you're not allowed to hoard it at all. You're not allowed to save it up for the next turn or whatever at all, just because it's winter, because you're throwing one hell of a party. I should at least get something for all that money I spent, right? I should get some goodwill in the South, you know? So something should come to me for all that money I just spent. Some influence points. I don't care. I got nothing. I mean, they just squirreled it away to their Swiss bank accounts and they're ready to leave the country. Really fair. Wastage turns are always a mechanism that's a little so wastage is always a mechanism that's a little problematic in levying campaign, but it's every turn in the normal games, right? If you have too much stuff, if you're carrying, 2 carts, 2 provender, whatever, if you have any excess at the end of any month, you expend some of it. Money is never affected, but carts, provender, trying to think what else, cards, and the expenditure is much, much less. Under the normal ones, it's if you have 2 of any of these things, any of them, you have to spend 1. So coins could be affected, right? They count in. If you're hoarding coins, you can be affected by wastage, but you lose 1 resource each turn from wastage, and you can always kind of choose the thing that you need the least. Yes, there is a problematic thing with the harvest or whatever where your carts go away, and that's a big deal, but it's completely understandable. Here, I don't know what just happened, right? This guy gained money because he didn't have any. These guys spent money, a lot of money, because they were busy taxing. Of course, you shouldn't be getting any kind of advantage off of taxing the locals, to be honest. But in terms of any kind of influence or anything like that, that's a bit silly because you would actually be upsetting the people and turning them against you by taxing anyhow. But man, it feels fucking weird to have that money just vaporize. I almost feel like I wouldn't mind if I lost half the excess. That would be a reasonable amount. It would still prevent you from hoarding money or anything, but to return back, whether I spent it or not, to make it so that it was absolutely valueless for me to tax London, to make it so it was actually a really bad choice. I don't know. I'm really frustrated by what just happened. Really frustrated. I start to understand, oh look, the Yorks are doing well, right? Because they have figured out how to collect cash and how to make it so that they don't get just screwed completely. Sure, they didn't get shit done this turn, but they're working slowly and methodically towards at least not fucking up royally. Whereas the guys who've just been fucking up left and right, get a bonus for it, and the guys who have been being careful trying to play by the rules of every other turn get screwed by this special turn. And it just something that, yeah, sure, I should know it, okay? You should know the rules when you play a game. But it went completely against sort of the expectations that were built up throughout the rest of the play of the turn. It's just this sort of big fuck you shoved at me here. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell? You know? And it's not like I'm particularly pro-York. If anything, I'm probably pro-Lancaster. But not pro-Tudor. I don't know. I just like, I think when it comes down to it, I like Margaret. But anyway, I'll be back when I cool off a little bit. do the rest of the winterish turn, and you know. But again, it feels like I'm just blundering around in the game, not knowing what the fuck I'm doing when shit like this just slaps you backside the head, right? Now this is the sort of the precise situation, like with the revolt, the pillaging, whatever that happened. This is sort of the precise kind of situation that they're like, well, restart the game if you find this. Look, I've played enough turns, and I still can't get the pillaging down right. Like, this guy was fucked, right? He was out of coins again. He was going to do it again. He was going to screw himself over here and turn this whole area Yorkist. It's not like you make the mistake once or twice and you start realizing this would have been the third time to make the mistake. The only thing that saved his ass was this shit. And the only thing that, you know, and all the kind of careful preparation work that the game has taught me for some reason or another that was working for the Yorks, mainly because they've grabbed the rich area of London and whatever when it wasn't, you know, fully exhausted, is that, yeah, pre-planning doesn't really help you. I mean, obviously it would if you absolutely have a grasp on everything, but sort of an intermediate pre-planning by someone who isn't really completely dedicated to the game already, right, isn't going to help you. And playing stupidly doesn't necessarily hurt you all the time. Sometimes you'll blunder into, hey, look, I found some coin on the floor. I mean, again, it makes perfect sense that you'd get your taxation, that you get some kind of bonus taxation coming in. I'm perfectly fine with you don't get any if you're above this. I'm a little less happy with, hey, half of it would melt away or something like that, but I would understand that. But I suffered a whole lot worse. You can't have a fucking war chest in this game. You can't do anything. Away from the game to the linguistic aside. It's kind of interesting. I decided to delve into it a little bit. First of all, there are clear indications that in Shakespearean English, pronunciations like Leicester and Worcester were already in effect, at least in some places. You know? So this is the thing. There are dialects even now in England, right? So, but as late as the 1700s, there are sources that are saying you would pronounce not Worcester, but Worcester. And when did the H drop off of it? See, this is much earlier. So all of the Chester, Caster, Cester endings come from the same place, which is Latin for fortifications, castra, or castra. But they all got modified in how they would be pronounced fairly early. The real question, though, is, you know, where you have things like Worcester that absolutely do not look like they should be pronounced that way. There's an entire syllable missing, essentially. And that's disturbing. Again, obviously, at least in part of the country, it was already in extent by Elizabethan era to elide the middle syllable completely, or syllable. By the time, though, but equally obviously, there were those who did not see it that way, at a later point at least. So it's just interesting to me. Now, of course, all languages become homogenized once you hit the 20th century. Dialects become less and less prevalent. The introduction of national TV and radio broadcasting using a peculiar or particular pronunciation for anything means that there becomes a singular way of saying things. But it's interesting because if you go to different locations, it becomes different. All right. So in America, you might see Houston, as in Texas, pronounced Houston in the East Coast. Not when they're talking about the city in Texas, but when they're talking about Houston Street in New York City. So there's equally weird situations where the localized version becomes codified in some way or another. But it's very, very, very difficult. English is such a mess anyway. And it's important to look at the 18th century as a peculiarity, actually, where I am almost certain that the local usage was as it is now. That indeed, whatever happened in the early 18th century was probably an attempt to rationalize the language rather than anything that sort of naturally occurred, and that these actually got elided just simply because it's easier to pronounce a two-syllable name than a three-syllable name. And it's an all soft sound, right? So, let's see. I'm trying to think. They've gotten spellings, and spellings were already like codified at this point. They've gotten not absolutely. Even in the 18th century, you have people who you'll have a single document that'll have like 2 or 3 different spellings for the same damn thing. But there was probably more of a standardization to the spelling, and that was trying to reflect something. But the fact that in that period they kept that central syllable in the spelling is really kind of disturbing to me. It almost feels like there was maybe more than just, a pedantic sort of encyclopedist or something saying, no, damn it, it should be pronounced. Nah, the spellings were still in flux at that point. But those spellings were still present back in Shakespearean time as well. So they had been around for a long time, being regularized there. So, and it's clear from the verse and the meter that it shouldn't be pronounced. All very odd. I'm forcing myself to come up here and play. I don't want to do anything. The depression's getting really bad right now. I don't know why. But probably too much time in front of the computer and too little sleep or something. Anyhow, we should be at a levy stage again, and all kinds of shit's gonna happen. I know that. So I'll shuffle the cards and get to it. The Yorkist deck is getting kind of small. Anyway, let's draw a couple of cards, see what we got here. Sir Richard Lay. Remove Lancastrian favor from London, or if neutral, place Yorkist favor there. Yeah, that doesn't help. I got it already. Yorkist parade. Hold. Play if London friendly to York or Warwick there. It is. This levy, Yorkist influence ratings +2. Do I want to just play this? We give Salisbury a +2. I'm going to leave it face up because I may want to play it. Especially since, I don't know. I might want that capability if I get one of those lords back in. Oh, I don't know why I shut it off. All right, over to here. New Act of Parliament. This campaign, Yorkist parley takes entire campaign card. So whenever I want to do a parley action, I'm guessing only. I'm not going to look it up. Because my playbook's downstairs where I'm reading it. So this is an interesting little aspect here. There's an act of parliament against York. Ravine, hold play against on an enemy lord in battle. Round 1, ignore that lord for engage in strike. Sounds useful. Both sides are collecting up their combat cards. The Yorkists have more, and that's sort of that's part of why their deck's small, and then they have 4 cards here. All right, it's pay time. It's time to get fucked because we burned our money for no use. We didn't even get happier from it. All right, first troops. There's a coin there. There's a coin there. That's the free coin that I got because I didn't plan. Oh, I mean, sometimes planning hurts, sometimes it helps. Usually it should help, but if it's not fully informed, boy, you can fuck yourself over by planning. All right. Lords. Lords can disband and then have to play an influence each. Nobody's in exile, so. I don't know. My tax base is fucked now because I exhausted London to grab all that money, and all that money went away. So I kind of feel like I have to disband Salisbury. And yes, I know. I will never say it any other way. Like, unlike Warwick, it just doesn't. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. How am I going to get cash? I mean, I could run back to Calais just to tax it. That doesn't sound very valuable. Any other way to get money? Tax and pillage. And pillage is very bad. And I don't have an army here. I'm gonna disband the fucker. That gets rid of these lords. Jesus. But I'm just so far away from the enemy, and I'm probably gonna hate this as well. So it's 6 minus his capability, which puts it 1, 2, 3. And same with Suffolk. And we have tons of vassals showing up here. These are going to all go away. Just not. And it's because of that tax fuck up. That's the whole reason. But I don't see keeping them on the board. I have no source of income. I have 1 coin, you know. He could tax his vassals, but that's painful. Fuck it. And his vassals, you know, this is a town. It's going to give me $1. It's just not going to keep me in play. And I'm this disturbed by it. Now, when does he come back? I don't know. don't fucking care, to tell you the truth. What happened here? I have disbanded 324. And this feels idiotic. It really does. It's because we threw all our money in the Thames. And onto the calendar, another box is equal to 6 minus the influence on his card. He had a 3 influence, so he also will move 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. Great. At least it's a 4-card turn. I don't need a lot of lords. Plus, I'm probably bringing him in anyway, so it's not that terrible. But I do have to pay an influence for him. Now, over here, I don't have an option. Even though I don't have money and everything, I have got to pay by influence to keep him on the board. Because if I get rid of him, I have no one in exile, and that means it's game over. Vassals, this turn's vassals can disband. There aren't any. Otherwise, I'd have to pay influence for them. It's great. You know, it sucks that I gathered up all these wonderful vassals and I just can't keep them. Sure, again, I could tax for them, but I'm also far away, you know? I might as well not. Plus, I've learned the lesson. Trying to do things that make sense, trying to plan for the future and do shit in this game, it doesn't work, right? Like, I mean, it would work if I absolutely understood all the implications of everything. But the opportunistic, better way of playing this is fucking don't plan. That's the lesson I learned. And eventually, maybe it'll just come to be a habit of how to do things right without planning. Because I spent a lot of effort to get all that fucking coin. All right, exiles and vassals, there aren't any exiles, there aren't any vassals to switch over. Muster, we're over here. He's gonna have 3 lordship, I gotta switch pipes. No, this wouldn't work. This is if London friendly and York or Warwick there, not London friendly and York friendly or something along those lines. I don't know how I was reading that. Okay. So 3 shots. Well, I think it's absolutely vital for me to get whoever Rutland is. So I will spend an influence. I think this is how I do it. And roll a die. I get a 1. I think that means I get him. It may be that there's a little mechanism in here that I'm kind of seeing, which is disband a lord, muster a different one. Constantly keep your coin in play by just recycling your lords. Make sure they're not all on the board at the same time and stuff like that. Instead of trying to keep a viable continuous force in play. So that is one of Warwick's leadership. Yeah, lordship. He's got 2 more. What can and can't he do? He could parley, but there's a penalty. It doesn't apply right now. Oh, I'm so fucked. This is what I need to do this turn. By the way, Canterbury switched over. I took it there. So parleying might not be a bad idea. I'm kind of far away. That could get me Norfolked. Do I have any vassals anywhere? No, we expended all our vassals. Am I able to parley at this point at range 2? I know things are weird at different points. Okay, so as long as they're friendly, so I can shoot all the way over to here. That might not be a bad choice. Let's do that. So that's going to cost me 1 for the influence attempt, 2, 3 for the ways. This is because that card showing up really screwed my plans of taking the south. I'm still not going to get the south, but okay, so that's a success. What did we get? We got a little townie. And that leaves me with 1 left. Now I can try to take a vassal. That requires an influence check as well. So I keep upping the influence, and that's again a 1 through 5. I'm sorry, Norfolk. Why is Norfolk in Arundel? He's the Duke of Norfolk. He's not the Earl of Arundel. What's up? Okay, and I get him added. Where's Essex? Is this Essex? This is one of the problems with these guys. So both counters are off the map once they've been either mustered or once they're not available anymore. And there become a lot of shields that are just open for you to see. I think he's only got a 1-turn service. And then it's going to be like 5 turns before he comes back in. But that's fine. I got the important thing, which was, well, no, it wasn't. I don't know what I got. I got some extra troops. I can pay them off with influence continuously, if I so desire. I may not. Okay. That was my 3 actions over there. What's Somerset doing? Somerset is allowed to muster this time. He really wants cash because he's in trouble. I think his home is London, though. Can't tell. Can't see anything in London. No, his home's not London. Where is his home? His home's down here at Wells. Great. There aren't a lot of places I can gather cash in. I can get them from Shrewsbury, wherever the fuck Shrewsbury is. Is this Shrewsbury? I think so. That's not very helpful. And I could go up to Westmoreland's, which is already depleted, and tax that. I really don't have a source of money. Who can I bring onto the board? It's anybody except Northumberland. So that's Buckingham, Henry, and Exeter. Henry comes on with a lot of cash. He comes on with $3. At least there's that. But he costs $2 per turn to keep him in the field because he's got a big retinue. Buckingham comes in with decent cash. Where does he start? Coventry. Other option is Exeter, who's, of course, way down there. That would be real hard for me to get to. All right. We're going to spend one of our lordship and an influence on trying to get Buckingham in. That's a 5. We got him. And we get this. Coventry is a city. I think we spent our influence. We got that over, and we find the Buckingham piece. That'll go here, and we set it up. One more point and he's the only one for Somerset. Can't get a card. I could levy troops. It's a city. I could get a longbowman and a militia. That would fit my pay schedule, and I'd be okay with that. Interesting idea. Am I going to fight? I don't see it happening, to be honest. but he could, you know. I could go for another lord, but we're on a 4-card turn. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I wanted another lord for the extra cash and to get them together because I have no place to tax. I have nothing to do to keep Somerset's troops in the field. And worst comes to worst, I could disband Somerset and do what I did over here, which is just sort of cycle through the lords without, so that I can keep creating their money instead of trying to plan to keep an army in the field when, who knows when they're going to throw all their food in the river, or all their money in the river. Okay, what else do we have? All of it. The other options we have, let's see. There are no vassals available to us. I looked around, I don't see any of those. There's a lot of, these games always, the Levian campaign always have a fairly high amount of information just presented on the board. And this is why I complain about the map crowding. The map would not be bad if it was just a control marker, if it was like a CDG with just a control marker and, you know, a standee or a cylinder or whatever for pieces. This one and Inferno are cluttering up the map too much with all the little informational counters, and there's just not enough space for them all. They kind of crowd together, and they have to end up covering the required imagery to be able to understand what the hell's going on. How much has that hurt me? Not much. Like, that's not the fault. That has not caused any of the big fuck-ups. Although, you know, maybe I lost count here or something a couple of, I definitely did a couple of times. Anyway, no vassals. I don't want to do a lord. I don't necessarily want to levy troops. In fact, it would exhaust my stronghold, which I might not want to do because I don't have a lot of food. I could get transport. I'm okay on my transport. I honestly think the best thing I can do is go for an influence. Sorry, I'm red. I go this way. An influence down here in Ravenspur. I'm planning on going through Lincoln. And I've got a good leader influence-wise. So let us just gather. And what is that? That is a fortress. We now have the majority of fortresses. Ah, we have that one. Okay, so that's, you know, an extra influence every turn. As long as we hold this stuff and don't, you know, screw up and end up rebelling. That looks like the levy phase, which means we'll be flipping to campaign. And I'm breaking here for a while because I'm, again, frustrated by what's going on, but and it may be a long time because I got raid coming up. Plus, life is just really, putting everything off, like, was necessary and still is. I still can't fucking do a thing, but some prices are being paid for that, and those are impacting me pretty badly. As I was reading the historical notes, something that had been troubling me a little bit about the way this first war started, I noticed the date of the Battle of St. Albans, the first one, and it was 1455. This game starts in 1459. So conflict had already happened, and a whole series of moves had happened before you enter into this first war position. And some of them are political and whatnot. So there was already a clash, etc. I just wanted to point that out because I think I felt a little confused about how things kind of started out. So this starts you out, I guess after Henry returns to consciousness and York falls back into disfavor and then takes up arms yet again against him, which hadn't really settled into my head when I first started playing. I had thought we were starting at the beginning of any of the armed conflicts, but it does make sense because that really was not like a long period of conflict. So the game would seldom reproduce the historical results of a battle, of a decisive battle, without a lot of the jockeying that we're seeing right now. All right, so my attempt at hiding in sleep did not work. So instead, let's do the campaign season, or the campaign part of the turn. What are all these doing here? Those should have been dealt with. All right, let's take a look at them. What did we fuck up? Essex. Okay. Essex just got summoned, didn't he? Now I'm confused. Like, I think Essex just got summoned. Did Shrewsbury just get summoned? What did Somerset do? He did that and that. He did not. So, Shrewsbury and Westmoreland had to have an influence paid for them. Unless I flip things over, but I don't think that's the case. So that's 2 influence gone to keep them in play. Do I need them in play? I don't know, but they're kind of cheap in their own way. Shrewsbury. Where is Shrewsbury? Shrewsbury is down here. I certainly didn't just gain him. So, okay. Right? No, that's not Shrewsbury. I don't know where Shrewsbury is. There's an easy way to find out. He's in Shrewsbury. He's way over here. And again, I don't believe I just mustered him. All right, I'll pay the influence to keep them on the board, but I do know that Essex just came in. Something confused me about the turns, and I just moved things into play there. Or, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Essex is... Where is Essex? Essex is at St. Albans. Norfolk just came in. St. Albans is here. Yeah, I think I actually gained that earlier. I'll pay 1 here. I missed that part of the levy experience. I'm going to keep the troops in play at the cost of the influence. Fuck it. Because I was not thinking. But in terms of programming here, 4 cards. I think the problem is these cylinders jump out more than the discs do. And again, this is common to the series. But the calendar is a little tighter in this than in others. So I've got Rutland now. Now Rutland is a shitty commander. He only has 1 command point. Historically, although he was Richard's second son, Richard of York's second son, he barely had an effect on things. But his importance in the line of succession, I guess, made it vital to give him a position here. Although, well, wait, Clarence, I believe, Clarence shows up as a Lancastrian lord because of the revolt, because of the machinations he made with, but there's another one, I'm trying to remember. York had a lot of children. Okay. So I don't want to do a whole hell of a lot with him. But I do want to tax with him. And I think I'm going to want to join up with Warwick. So that's already, 2 of my 4 cards I'm using on this shithead. Okay. So tax and move. Do I have enough food? I really don't. With a couple of carts, I can haul a couple of food by my port. So Warwick is going to want to move and probably down to here. Although there are advantages to going to London. And gather at least 1 food. He needs the 1 food to move these 2. 2 food, sorry. He needs the 2 food to move these 2. And that leaves me with 2 more commands. I could supply more food here and charge all the way to Winchester. But if I went down this route, where I can gather food more quickly from the boats, because I don't need to rely on the carts. I still need the carts to carry the food, though, so I can move to Arundel, which I think is better because I don't want to be in Winchester at the end of this. I'm going to just program it this way. I don't know what the hell that means. Programming's a pain in the ass. Not so much on the computer. Over here, I got a new lord. I got to pull him out. But we're not going to need the pass. Buckingham is also one of those lords you don't really necessarily want commanding your forces. He's got this shitty 1-point command. That's okay on my side here because he's not going to be doing much, although he may be taxing. But I have to, well, he's going to be doing 1 card instead of a pass, right? Whatever that is. So let's figure out what Somerset's going to do. Somerset has a little bit of provisions, but not much. I could grab 2 provisions in York. And not a hell of a lot else I can do. I could move. And then I have a feeding issue. But feeding's easy. Second card, I convert Lincoln, perhaps grab more provisions. Third card, having a hard time working my way down. Peterborough, I could get down to Ely and all that rather quickly. But that doesn't really help me. So I'm just going to do this. And we'll see what it works out as. Because one of the things we learned with this game is planning is dangerous. It's not. You absolutely need to plan to make these games work well. The problem is the burden of the planning is just so high. And when I get to the, some of these weirder effects that I've not seen in other games, like the way the waste works on coin. And yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the idea that like every winter they throw a big party, but they are not going to throw a party that hurts them as much as that did. Probably not going to be more than their annual taxation, which is kind of the, hey, you get to keep the greater of the coin you have or the coin you would reset at. Other elements, carts, boats, etc., yeah, I do kind of understand those fading away. Money doesn't fade away quite the same way. You kind of have to spend it. All right, let's start. Rutland goes first. What was he going to do? He was going to tax. I have another Rutland. Yes, I do. He was going to tax Canterbury. Is that 2 coins? That's 2 coins. Not just 1. And we deplete that. And now we're rich again. we got to make sure to spend it all by here. I'm not going to cheat the rules or anything, although I would seriously consider changing that rule to make it a little less painful. Somerset. Somerset has some food. Did I want to gather food or did I want to move and take Lincoln? I know what my plan was. My plan was to gather food at York. York's a city. I can gather 2 provender. And then move and eat one of the provender. That was what my plan is. We'll just stick with that. Another Rutland. Now I could just keep taxing, but I don't want to do that. I want to move to join Warwick. And there goes my provender. Another Somerset. I'm allowed to do parleys more easily. The Yorkists are not. So I will parley Lincoln, which gives me a city point. Doesn't cost me anything. Well, it cost me the command. I could do more parley into like Petersboro. That's not a terrible idea. Prevent me from changing my plans on the fly here. It'll prevent me from having to spend for movement on this turn. We succeed. We get another city. That's a city, right? Yeah. Okay. And we come back over here. And I mean, it's almost remarkable how little military action is actually going on, right? We're solidifying our territory. Military action didn't prove all that effective, and I'm worried, you know, somebody goes into exile, they pop back up. It doesn't do much to knock them out. Yes, it causes some costs, but all right, we're on Warwick. Warwick needs food. He needs food badly, but he doesn't need it right away. So I was going to take a move into Hastings. Then I'm going to get my 4/8 provender. Good Lord. Did I really need to? It's 2 per ship, right? Let's see. 1 provender per ship. So 2, 4, 8. Oh, I only have 1 ship left. Okay, 4. All right, much, much better. Much, much better. Yeah. But I do have to be careful. But I moved with 2 armies, so I have to eat 2 of that provender. Both of these guys moved. We come back over. Yeah, I used to have 4 ships, man. I sunk one of them. Because, for whatever reason, the ships don't reset, right? Transport doesn't. That wastes away. And I do kind of get why. Somerset's up next. I have enough provender to move. I am going to 1, 2. Oh no, I can't. See, I'll be in my levy in the wrong place. Fuck. And Peterborough. There's no highway going down through here. There's a highway here, a little one going down here, but it doesn't connect up the way I want it to. All right, do I want to go to Nottingham? And Ely, I would be able to convert 1 level only, which isn't good enough. So I guess we move to Nottingham. We convert the town. And we eat. And we're not happy. I don't think I hurt myself with my change in plans. I think, well, maybe I would have been 1 space closer. But I think I mean, I certainly would have been able to be one space closer because I wouldn't have converted that. But I didn't help myself particularly with it either. Okay. And that puts me to another Warwick where I have enough provender to carry, so I will walk once and eat that. Of course, now I don't have the same boat capability. I can't convert anything. What else can I do? Gather provender with boats again. I can only carry 2 of them back, but that'll feed me. Yeah, we'll do that. Not what I wanted. Blundering through the game. On to Buckingham. Now, Buckingham is sitting at his home. I believe strongly in taxing when taxing is possible, and in not moving lords who only have one command. So we'll get him some more coin. So Buckingham, I could have gone, no, I'm in Coventry here, and you can see the mess. You can see the mess. It's hard to tell who's what here. Just onto that pile. And that's the end. What does that mean? That means I'm going to swap batteries. On these winter turns, it doesn't mean much. It doesn't do much harm. Okay. We've reached end of campaign. Tides of war. We go through the little list. North, South, and Wales. The Yorkists have 1 point there. Dominance in North, South, or Wales. Okay, the North is currently dominated by Lancaster. London and Calais, that's 4 for York. Hey, first time it's been white. Most favor in cities. That's 2 for Lancaster. Towns and fortresses cancel out. Capability card text. We still have our consulship. Is it a gain lord's influence? It is! Didn't we just fucking have one? Yeah, not that long ago. Those happen fairly often. Okay, well, now would be a good time to have a lot of high influence lords on the board. Instead, we have 8 and 7. That's 1 in favor of the Lancasters. All right. And it does say turn here. It's just in italics, so I ignore it. Talked about that in other games. Disembark, victory, grow. This is gain lord's influence only. And it's reset time. Does anybody have cards they want to throw away? I highly doubt it, but we'll look. And otherwise, this moves forward. And we're going to load this up. Considering throwing this away, play if London friendly in York or Warwick there. I can do this. This levy, Yorkist influence ratings are +2. That could be really useful, conceivably. But on the other hand, York's favored son can be placed on Rutland, make him somewhat more useful. So I'm going to ditch that. Didn't think I was going to. These are combat cards that I really don't want to throw away. Preventing exile, that can help me knock out another lord. These guys are both in the succession. However, what's up with Warwick? Because he goes both ways. Didn't know that about him, did you? So, heirs in succession. This is the Yorkist heirs. Warwick might be the heir in the Third War for either side. He's not that big a concern. And in fact, I don't know which way he's going, right? Because I haven't read the scenario. I kind of feel like that's more exciting. I haven't read what the second scenario is. Like, I know what'll happen if I lose this scenario as the Lancasters. I get Warwick. But I don't know what happens if I win it. He might end up staying Yorkist. That would make the most sense because it's only because of Edward's acts as king, Edward IV's acts as king, which caused Warwick to feel disenfranchised, essentially. Anyway, that's the end of the road there. And like I said, we're going to load this up. I just wanted to catch that I was throwing that card. How do I feel? I don't know. I feel pretty damn bummed out about, and this is not the cause of my depression, as far as I can tell. It's more my general existence. But I feel pretty bummed out about that one particular screw-up situation where I didn't understand what the rules were going to be. Mostly because intuitively it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's something I would strongly consider tweaking if I play again. Simply because it feels like you're it feels like you're going to do things you're going to engineer things in a way that just doesn't seem reasonable. Like you're taking actions and making choices that don't make a lot of sense. Now, again, I don't mind if you have too much money. Like, first of all, certainly it shouldn't go above. Like, you shouldn't gain coin from your taxation. I am perfectly fine with the fact that if you have more than your base amount, you would not gain more. That seems almost a perfectly reasonable thing because you're doing so well, etc., that the money would be used up for other things. But you could have an infinite amount of money in this game, essentially, right? And I had quite a bit stocked up. Now, you could make an argument that some of that would be wasted, but the whole concept, all these efforts at this rapacious taxation were to fund the army. And the fact that you can't keep any of that, that you're reset to what you would get if you played it without any concern for the future. I mean, look, the modern equivalent is the concept of currency and banks just failing. But everything else is still kind of in place and you're still able to draw the same kind of income off of what happens. It's just it's an unimaginable situation that you would throw that big a party. Honestly, it's what it kind of comes down to. In the midst of a war, that you would throw that big a party, that you would say, we taxed everything. Let's have one hell of a bash because our county taxes are coming in or whatever. Early taxes. Anyway, up it goes.